Coming up on Mountain News this morning, the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet has started installing automated speed enforcement devices in highway work zones. And Daniel Cameron made a trip to Pike County discussing his campaign to fill the Senate seat.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning. I'm Amelia Lee here with you on this Monday, September 29th. It's 6 o'clock this morning and time for a check of our weather with Megan Dusmal. And Megan, it doesn't feel like fall, but October is so close. It's on Wednesday, so we're basically there, but the 80s don't really reflect that.
No, they don't, but it's definitely exciting to be closer to another month, and it just makes me think that, wow, this year has flown by. But for a couple days as we lead into October, yes, it will be warm. Here's what we're seeing out the door this morning. Mixture of those 50s, with the exception of Jackson 64, Logan 61, as well as Jacksboro 61 and 64 in Monticello. We head into the afternoon, mixture of those 80s. A little bit cooler in our Virginia county, 75 for that high in Wise and 79 in Clintwood, and nice and clear skies as you're heading out the door. Just a little bit of fog out and about this morning. Amelia.
At least 4 people are dead and 8 others hurt after a man smashed his pickup truck into a Michigan church Sunday, then started shooting and set the building on fire. Police identified the gunman as 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford, a Marine veteran from the nearby town of Burton. They say 2 American flags were in his pickup truck that crashed through the church doors before he opened fire on hundreds of worshipers with an assault rifle.
You never know what a person is going through, and you never know what is going on in a person's mind.
Police say 2 of the victims were found in the burned out debris of the church. Some people are still unaccounted for, and the death toll continues to rise. Well, it's been 48 days since 10-year-old Jaden Spicer was found dead in the woods of Breathitt County after a week-long search. His death got national attention, and now a Kentucky author is proposing legislation in Jaden's honor. Lucy Cole is looking into that.
The death of 10-year-old Jaden Spicer last month broke the hearts of many across the Commonwealth. Joe Clark says it lit a fire inside him, a fire burning for change.
How many more kids are going to have to be abused or murdered before we step in and say, hey, enough's enough?
Clark wrote his first ever bill for Jaden's Law. If passed, it will impose stricter protections for children, increase sentences for abusers, and crack down on abuse.
Anybody that's ever convicted of a crime against a child will be forbidden from ever having custody of another child.
In addition, the bill would also map out expanded protections for children between 12 and 17, something Clark says is lacking in Kentucky.
Under current Kentucky law, most child protective laws end when that child reaches 12 years old. Children between the age of 12 and 17 are unprotected in a lot of cases.
He put a specific clause in the bill stating that because of the seriousness of this crime, if it's passed, it will go into effect immediately. Senator Brandon Smith, representing the 30th District, backs this bill.
We want to, again, address the issue about daycare, abusive family members, even torture and some of the stuff out there. That's a misdemeanor. And I think most of us that hear this know that that's ridiculous. Those need to be looked at.
While this might not stop all crime against children, he believes it's a step in the right direction.
No bill we'll ever file is going to be, sort of the silver bullet to stop it. But I do hope that this brings attention to a tragedy on so many different cases.
Lucy Cole, WKYT.
Now, we do have the petition attached to this story on our website, WYMT.com. The Kentucky Transportation Cabinet has started installing automated speed enforcement devices in highway work zones. It's the latest effort to keep workers safe and drivers accountable. The cameras come after the Kentucky General Assembly passed the Jared Lee Helton Act earlier this year. Among the first places to receive cameras this week are a US 25 work zone in Fayette County, an I-75 work zone near Corbin, and one on I-64 in Shelby County. Additional work sites will get these cameras throughout the fall. Well, Daniel Cameron made a trip to Pike County Friday discussing his campaign to fill the Senate seat that's been held by Mitch McConnell since 1985. The former Attorney General hosted a meet and greet at the Garfield House in Pikeville, discussing his platform and plans with those in attendance. He says the Commonwealth needs someone who will uphold traditional values, so he's working to travel across the state to meet with potential voters ahead of the primary election to see what they want from a senator and explain how he hopes to meet those needs.
They want a representative in Washington that's going to stand up for their values, stand up for common sense, frankly is not afraid to proclaim the name of Jesus Christ, and will fight for our coal and natural gas, fight for our energy independence.
Cameron is one of several candidates looking to fill McConnell's seat. His Republican opponents in the May primary include Congressman Andy Barr and businessman Nate Morris. Several Kentucky State Police troopers were honored during an award ceremony in Frankfort Thursday. Trooper Nicholas Taylor with Post 9 in Pikeville was awarded Trooper of the Year. Public Affairs Officer Scotty Pennington with Post 11 in London was recognized as Public Affairs Officer of the Year. And we do have a link to all of those recognized on our website, WYMT.com. President Donald Trump will meet with congressional leaders from both parties at the White House later today, ahead of a possible partial government shutdown on Wednesday morning. Lawmakers will have to quickly compromise to get a funding bill passed in time to stop a shutdown. CBS's Tina Krause reports on the negotiations from New York.
The federal government is at risk of a partial shutdown with just 2 days of funding left. Democrats are demanding that any deal include more money for health care.
We want to find bipartisan common ground to find a spending agreement that avoids a government shutdown and actually meets the needs of the American people in terms of their health, their safety, and their economic well-being.
Senate Republicans blame Democrats for the impasse, urging them to approve a 7-week spending bill that's expected to be up for a vote tomorrow.
The ball is in their court. There is a bill sitting at the desk in the Senate right now. We could pick it up today and pass it.
Sources tell CBS News President Trump is not optimistic about a quick solution when he meets with congressional leaders later today. He has threatened to lay off federal employees, going beyond temporary furloughs used in past shutdowns. Some Republicans are backing the president's possible approach.
I've criticized Trump on things, but the one thing is on the hiring and firing, I think he's going to win every one of those cases.
Democrats say the president is not doing enough.
He should be doing what presidents do and saying we're going to find a deal to keep the government of the greatest nation on earth open.
The last shutdown was during President Trump's first term, spanning 35 days from December 2018 into January of 2019, making it the longest in U.S. history. Tina Krause, CBS News, New York.
Republican Senator Rand Paul says he opposes the short-term spending bill, which means Senate Republicans need at least a handful of Democrats to approve it for it to pass. President Donald Trump sparked outrage this week with his address to the United Nations, calling climate change, quote, the greatest con job perpetrated on the world. The president urged countries to abandon wind and solar, labeling them a scam, and pushed for more American oil, gas, and nuclear energy. His remarks come as scientists warn fossil fuels are driving deadlier heat, floods, and wildfires, and as reports show, renewable are now among the cheapest sources of energy worldwide. Meanwhile, a new report shows just how central clean energy has become to the U.S. economy. Nearly 100,000 clean energy jobs were added last year, growing more than 3 times faster than the rest of the workforce. In all, more than 3.5 million Americans now work in solar, wind, batteries, and clean vehicles. But policy rollbacks have led to tens of billions of dollars in canceled projects, and analysts anticipate more than 800,000 jobs could be at risk.
We're looking at a little bit of fog as you are starting off your Monday morning. Here's a look at that current visibility. Densest fog right now as we're traveling into portions of Middlesboro, Harlan, Williamsburg. And you'll notice that the most dense fog will be in those valley regions throughout the WYMT viewing area. So just drive carefully this morning, have those low beams turned on, and keep in mind, no rain chances in the forecast. So there's some good news, no slick roads out and about. However, temperatures this morning aren't terrible. We're looking at a mixture of those 50s. Some folks in a mixture of those 60s, 60 degrees for Harlan and London, 61 in Jacksboro, Pikeville, and Logan, 64 in Jackson and Monticello. This afternoon, though, we are looking at a mixture of the low to mid 80s. Amelia.
Well, thanks so much for joining us on Mountain News this morning at 6:10. West Virginia health officials say there's an outbreak of hand, foot, and mouth disease. We've got those details.
Andy.